Welcome to the Family Imprint Show. My name is Joanna Lynn. I'm so glad you've joined us here. Today I want to talk a little bit about our children, when their behavior challenges us and when we're reaching out for resources to know what to do to support them. What I think a lot of well-meaning experts miss when we look at changing their behavior, appropriate discipline, or how we answer some of those challenging questions is what actually influences our child's behavior. I work with family history. I work with the invisible influences that we all inherit from our family of origin. And so what I know to be true is a lot of how our children express behaviors, reactions, what's going on for them in school, even a part of what they might be afraid of, or the anxious pulse that arises in their body, or challenges focusing. They all come from somewhere. And it's not about a strategy or laying out a specific type of discipline. It's really about understanding what is influencing our children's behavior. And so much of the time, how they get our attention, maybe whining, maybe complaining, maybe really reaching out in a way that feels like an exhausting element. A lot of that points to what's unresolved in you. If you, as a child, really wanted more love, more attention, more time than your mom and dad were able to give, it is extra grating on the nervous system if we have a child who kind of pushes our attention in that direction, kind of pointing to an area in the emotional body that hasn't been resolved or attended to so far. So whenever I have clients that come to me and say, oh my gosh, my child is doing this or that, and, what can I do about it? My first line of questioning leads to what's unresolved for the mother and the father, or what's unresolved in the relationship between them. Sometimes this can look really amplified if the partnership has separated, if we're in a co-parenting dynamic. But even if we're in the same home, even if we're living together as a family, sometimes what's under that proverbial rug, what's left unspoken, unsaid, our children are left to live out and express back to us, which almost makes it that much more difficult to really see the root cause, to really decipher and discern what's going on. And so that's where I come in. That's where I like to ask very specific family history questions so we can put the expression of what's going on in the child's behavior as a match to where it rests and lives. So for example, there was a family that I had worked with, and the child was always anxious, always worried, nightmares. It was all of the expressions you would come to imagine with a child who, at the tender young age of 5 years old, is still very, very worried about mom's health, is dad late from work, the everyday things that might happen inside of a family. Well, when I began to ask some questions, it seemed as though mom and dad had a healthy, normal, regular upbringing, nothing that came forward in their childhood that had me question anything. But if we look back a further generation, it turns out that grandma had to immigrate years before her parents had the chance. She was still at the tender age of 14 and was sent over to relatives, well loved, well looked after, but it was at a very kind of crucial developmental time where she wasn't ready to be away from her parents. And this was, of course, before cell phones, emails, the regular communication that we've come to count on today. And so letters felt forever. There was the continual fear inside for her. What would happen to mom? Would I even know if mom or dad were okay? And so this lived in her as an ongoing feeling that gets passed on through the generations. So I've seen it so many times in my practice, and I can't exactly tell you why, but sometimes it skips a generation. So when I work with clients, it's all about developing the full map of the family history so that we can kind of piece together what's going on in our children's expression and how best we can support them. In my opinion, it's never about a strategy or the right kind of discipline. It's actually about listening and learning to what the behavior is pointing to. Where does it make sense? Where can I connect it to? And this allows us to help our children most. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Family Imprint. As I like to share with my clients, we are really born without a clean hard drive. You know, we share that operating system with our parents and our grandparents. And if this has spiked curiosity for you, please feel free to reach out. You can find me at joannalyn.ca. Thanks for taking the time to listen here, and I look forward to connecting with you again.